You guys want to see something screwed up? That's not supposed to be like that. Once again, we have more issues with the Pontiac G8. It needs an outer tie rod on the driver's side, clearly, from what you guys have seen. But what's going on YouTube? It is Luke Waters, back again with a YouTube video. And today we are going to be painting the brake calipers on the Pontiac G8. We're going to be painting them flat black, and I'm going to show you guys how I like to do it and how this has worked for me over the years. First of all, shout out to Josh and my brother Austin for hooking me up with some brakes for this G8. Got some newly used calipers and brand new brake rotors my brother had laying around, so pretty much brand new brakes on the front of the G8. That's pretty sweet. Got the fluid exchanged. Now, I was going to paint these brakes while they were off the car, but I decided to paint them while they're on it, so that way I can get all the fluid bled out of them and I wouldn't be putting nasty brake fluid all over my brand new painted brake calipers. Now, my way of doing brake calipers is unconventional compared to most, but it's worked for me well in the past, and they've always held up to the test of time. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. Now, first things first, we need to get the surfaces that we're going to be painting clean, sanded, and ready to go. What I like to do is get some soapy water and honestly a rag. These brakes are in pretty good shape. They don't need a lot of attention, but if they're pretty bad, get like a Scotch-Brite pad or some steel wool and clean them up real good. Like I said, I like to use a soap that's got some degreasing properties to it to break down some of that grease and grime that's been sitting on these things. Like I said, you just need a basic rag, nothing fancy. You just want to get all the heavy stuff off that you don't want to be sanded down into your caliper. Be careful, some components on brakes are very sharp. You don't want to obviously cut yourself. Don't worry about getting everything, because we're going to do a lot more cleaning here soon. Obviously, cleaning and prepping your surfaces, everything. This is just to get a good wipe down and get most of the grime and stuff off your caliper. Looking pretty good to me. Okay, next step, you want to grab some sandpaper. I like to start with 800 grit personally. It's deep enough to scrub the surfaces, but not deep enough to leave scratches that you'll see later on. So go ahead, hit everything once with the sandpaper. Like I said, just be very careful. Some brake part components can be very sharp and you don't want to slice your hand open. Brake dust shields, guides, everything. It's all sharp, so be careful. Like I said, just make sure you hit every little crevice you can. The better you sand it right now, the better your paint job's gonna stick and turn out in the end. Gonna miss a few spots up here. Once that's done, go ahead and grab your soapy water once again, spray it down, and give it a good wipe. Look at all that grass. Look at all that nasty stuff falling off that caliper. Now next, what I typically do now is actually spray it with some brake part cleaner. The good thing about brake part cleaner is that it evaporates quickly, so any of the moisture left over from your soapy water will not only get absorbed, but all the extra grease and dirt that soapy water can't get will also come off the caliper. Like I said, spray some brake part cleaner on there. Next thing you want to do is get a trash bag and a pair of scissors. And what you want to do is kind of open the trash bag a little bit so you can get to the middle part of it. Might be easier just to tear it in half. Yep. Then once you rip it in half, you want to do the same thing to the other side. So it's all the way opened up like a giant rectangle. Then from here, you want to tear that rectangle right in half. And then you got two homemade tape and drapes out of a trash bag. So you take your garbage bag and your pair of scissors, you head back to the caliper, and we'll start covering stuff up and throwing some paint. Can't forget about the good old mask 'em up tape. So back to the brake caliper, all you want to do is tear a little hole in your trash bag, kind of lay it out with the caliper how you want it. Just tear one little hole about right here. Get it started a little bit and then kind of work that hole around the caliper itself. It's kind of tricky to do. Like I said, kind of tear it around. You want this to fit as tight as possible, so don't stretch it overly if you don't have to. The goal here is to get as little bit of paint on your rotor as possible. So keep that in mind. Okay, now with your masking tape, kind of tape down the plastic so it's not touching the caliper, because obviously you don't want to get any paint touching the plastic in the caliper. Or when you go to pull the plastic off, guess what? It's going to rip your paint off. The one thing I hate about brand new rolls of tape is trying to peel the first section off. It's such a pain in the butt to do. Like I said, tape the plastic back a little bit. You don't want to get any tape on the rotor at all. It'll burn off when you hit the brakes, but like I said, you just obviously want to minimize that as much as possible. So here's what we're left with when it's all masked up. And now we are ready to lay on some paint. Now, this part of the video is where things get a little bit different. Typically, people like to get caliper paint, Personally, I think caliper paint is trash for 2 reasons. 1, caliper paint doesn't really look like paint, it looks like a crayon. For some reason, I think caliper paint looks very cheap for, I don't know, it has to do with the high temperature rating of it, but personally, what I like to use, and what has done really well for me over the years, bam, high heat resistant paint up to 600 degrees Fahrenheit. Now this paint is actually made for painting grills. Now why do I use this paint? For 2 reasons. 1, you don't have to prime it. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate, but I will do a follow-up video on this about a year from now to show you how well it holds up. But this is made to be laid on directly onto metal, whether it's aluminum, steel, it doesn't matter. You can paint this directly on the metal and it will stick. This stuff goes on thick, it's great, it's heat resistant, and you don't have to clear coat it because this is actually a very thick coating of paint. And I don't really want to clear coat it because I think clear coating your calipers is kind of pointless with all the brake dust and stuff. So we're gonna lay this on, and this is actually all you do is paint it with this, and it will get you good results. Like I said, we're not going for something flashy here. We just want to paint these calipers up so they don't look like crap in the next few years. Obviously, I'm trying to hide dirt and grime, and this is the perfect paint of choice. Obviously, if you're painting them yellow or red or some kind of super fancy color, you would want to clear coat it to get all the brake dust, get all of it nice and clean. But heat resistant grill paint works great. Obviously painting, you want a well ventilated area. I got my garage window open because I don't want to suffocate in here. We're good to go. First coat of paint is on, lay it on nice and light. Try to hit every little crevice that you can. Obviously, don't want to miss anything in the first coat. Oh, jeez. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to let that dry for about 5 or 10 minutes. And what I like to do in between coats of paint is actually put your can of paint into a hot cup of water. Now, I did this about 20 minutes before I started recording. I had this cup of water here in the sink. The water is still nice and hot. What you want to do is turn your sink on to the hottest setting and just let it sit. And what that does is when you heat up paint, it tends to spray more evenly across your surfaces. It doesn't clump up as much, and it makes the finish look a lot smoother. I would highly, 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 highly recommend you soak your paint cans in water. Whether it's summer or winter time, I think it's a good thing to do just to get the paint molecules warmed up and get it moving better. All right, this is what it looks like after the first coat is dry. Now we're ready to apply coat number 2. Perfect. Second coat is dry and it's looking super sharp. Time to add the last third heavy coat and call this done for now. Looking super sharp. Now I'm gonna let that sit for about an hour or so. Then we'll come back, peel off all the masking tape and see if our hard work paid off. Obviously doing the driver's side as well. I'm just not showing it on camera. I'll see you guys back in 1 hour. So the whole thing I said about waiting an hour, yeah, that was a lie. Turns out this stuff supposedly dries to the touch in 15 minutes. So what we're about to do is peel back the plastic and see how it looks. Voila! Wow, that's a huge improvement, guys. It looks fantastic. Now, is this paint job perfect? Absolutely not. We got a spot right there where no paint got to. If I really want to hit it with a brush, I got a little bit on my rotor, it looks like too. But hey, you know what? That's a massive difference from before. I think it looks fantastic. So I give grill paint a thumbs up. It looks really, really good. And yeah, this is gonna be a quick little video for you guys. I wanted to do this for a long time since I bought the car because these calipers were absolutely disgusting when I bought it. I got so lucky on getting those calipers. Thank you so much again, Josh and my brother Austin, for hooking me up with these brake parts. It means a lot. I was getting kind of worried about for a minute. Like, look at the rust. You see all that rust? That was from the old brake calipers. They were literally about to fall apart just because of rust. This poor car. We're getting you fixed up, buddy. Yeah, I'll give you guys one more look over it. I think it turned out fantastic. If you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. It turns out only 5% of you guys who watch my videos are subscribed, so if you're not subscribed, be sure to click that button. Hate begging for subs because I sound desperate, but we're almost at 1,000. We're getting there. Next time I make a video, we will be doing the outer tie rod on that side because it is absolutely shot. So stay tuned for that, and as always, it's been Luke Waters, and I'll see you guys in the next video.